Once again, we welcome you, loyal viewers, to Slope TV, where we are doing uncommon political, economic, and governance conversations. We engage you, our viewers, to see issues in a different way. We put on a different lenses. Sometimes we'll be said to be controversial, but we want to see all sides of a matter. And that is why we are welcoming you again. And in this episode, we are having a conversation around what should President Ruto do in the midst of the increasing vilification and noises by his opponents and adversaries, particularly one regarding Gachagua. And the simple answer is, as the late Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga would say in his element, that kelele za chura azimzui mdovu kunywa maji. And I would want to use that allegory and say that there has been a lot of vilification, a lot of critic, and sometimes even insults coming from the other side, directed at one President William Samoei Ruto. In fact, sometimes I've wondered why the president has not probably taken legal action. Many times he has been called a thief, a murderer. He has done this, he has done that. He's called a killer, he's called this. He's given names. And I think if there was an award for insults, regarding Gachagua would have taken it without blinking an eye. He's given Ruto so many names. The one who has called him Kasongo, Kaongo, I don't know what, and so much. So he's been given all these names, yes. He has coined slogans against the sitting president, and sometimes I've felt that he has hit below the belt, using personal, insults to the person of the president. At one time, talking about his health, saying he doesn't sleep and he'll ensure that he can't sleep, talking about his family, talking about things, and he has talked a lot of bullshit, if I may call it, a lot of nonsense, a lot of wordings that personally I will not be comfortable to mention. But then the question is, what should the president do? I have heard on occasion the president answering regarding Gachagua previously, but of late he has been kind of quiet. I've not seen him give a direct response to what Gachagua has been speaking in his meetings, at Wamunyoro and during his political barazas. There is that silence that he has kept, and that is really the subject of our conversation today. That as the President of the Republic of Kenya, sometimes because of your office, the respect of your office, the honor given to that office, the senior-most office in the land, it behooves the holder of that particular office sometimes to rise above the fray, to rise above the noise, to rise above the kind of gibberish or garbage that is spewed out by his adversaries. And that is why personally I agree with him on the silence that he has taken that particular decision to have some kind of strategic silence in as far as the attacks by one regarding Gachagua are concerned. And this is the reason. A lot of attacks by Gachagua, they are without facts. They are not followed by facts. They're just words. You claim things. You say things. You throw mud. You throw mud. You throw dirty water. That is what Gachagua has been doing. But then, now when he does that and the president remains silent, he elevates his stature to a statesman that will not answer every noise in the village. And like I've said in another of our conversations, if you go to a marketplace and you find a madman insulting you or saying you're useless, calling you a goat or a sheep, you don't spend your time an hour or so disagreeing with the madman, telling him he's wrong or that he's insulting you, because then people will not notice the difference. You'll just look like another madman in the village. So if then a madman is throwing mud at you, I think the best you do is continue your business. You came to shop in the market, do your shopping and go home. You came to have a meeting, have your meeting and go home. You came for lunch, take your lunch and go home. That is the only way people will be able to distinguish between this madman and this other man or woman who has an agenda. And as long as the opposition, and in this particular case Gachagua, does not bring issues in his conversations and in his dialogue, then I would advise President Ruto to remain quiet. Because at your level then, you can only engage on issues. And that is why I like your challenge to the opposition, that they challenge you on alternative ideas. If then they are saying the budget is wrong. And the other day we had a very interesting conversation in Parliament where one MP, and I will not mention him, had a kind of disagreement with the leader of opposition, Kimani Ichung'wah, and this member was talking about a clause, I think 169 in the finance bill, and an existent clause that this member was insisting was in the finance bill, but the reality being that there was no such a clause in the bill, and that a bill cannot have a clause like that. And Kimani Ichung'wah made fun of this member of parliament, and he looked stupid. And that is why I'm saying we have come to a point where 1 plus several months period to the elections, the President of the Republic of Kenya must act presidential, so that then he will not get himself engaged in each and every conversation that takes place in the political market. I would say personally that it is wisdom not to fight all battles. There are some battles you avoid. You look like you're weak, but there is strength in choosing the battles to fight. For example, if a pig, however strong it is, invites you to a battle in the pigsty, I wouldn't want to prove to the rest of the population of the pigs how a good fighter, what a good fighter I am. Because at the end of the day, even if you beat the pig that invited you to a fight in its pigsty, what happens is that you move out of that place soiled. If you're going to do something to the market, you can't, because you'll be smelling feces. You'll be dirty. You'll have soiled yourself. So it is not cowardice to choose not to fight certain battles. It is not cowardice for the president to choose not to respond to some of the attacks from the political adversaries. It is strategic silence. It is strategic choices, whereby you allow the pig to continue wallowing in the mud, and you continue showing how things can be done. Let your work speak to who you are. Because if you go then to the pigsty to fight, you will not be any different from the pig in the den. And one other thing on this is when then the president is not responding, then it is appropriate for his lieutenants, for his other people in a lesser level or in terms of their positions in government or leadership than to respond. And that is why I think I've seen the likes of Sudi, the likes of Farouk responding to Gachagua, Cheruyot responding to Gachagua. I have seen Ichung'wah responding to Gachagua. I have seen Moses Kuria responding to Gachagua. I have seen CS Murkomen responding to him, but even then looking like he's demeaning him. In other words, the president is telling Gachagua, that is your league. You're playing the provincial league, I play the Premier League. And so how can I respond to every accusation, to every utterance in the marketplace? You're calling me this, but I'm attending G7. You call me Kasongo, but I'm implementing the manifesto. You insult me here, but I am addressing the water problem of a community somewhere. You said I'm doing nothing, but I'm doing the Mau Summit route. You said I'm fighting the businesses of your people, of your community. That is village mentality, but I am building a market for them. I am providing education for their children. I am making sure they access health. Mr. President, that is being presidential. Let nobody take you down to fight lower battles, battles that will make you dirty, battles that will make you get to the level of those who want to soil you. I think what you should do is you raise the bar, change the conversation, change the narrative, set the narrative. Now, the problem with the opposition, of course, that is why probably they resort to insults and just opposing, is because they are reactionary. They have not presented an agenda. They wait for government to do something, then they say it is not right. When SHA is rolled out, hey, SHA is not working. But what is your alternative? When the budget is presented, you are not offering anything. You're not even, you're intellectually lazy. I see a lot of intellectual laziness. I see Kalonzo, his critique for the budget is just to say that our deficit will not be 1 trillion, it will be 500 billion. But have you considered what are the areas you want to put money? Where are you going to get the taxes, the money, the income to be able to implement your agenda? It is not enough to say that we'll cancel the SHA program. You need to tell us what are you going to replace it with and where will you get the money. It is not enough to just criticize things. The president wants to do the airport. You just need to tell us what do you want to do in place instead of that, and how are you going to do it. You don't tell us you lower taxes, you lower the price of oil or petroleum when we know that the global prices are high. You just need to tell us what is that alternative that you have thought through. You have exercised some intellectual rigor to it, so that then what you are communicating to Kenyans makes sense, makes economic sense. And that is why I want to say this. It is actually very important that the president continues to ignore the noises from the naysayers, that the president will not respond, as I conclude, will not be responding to every noise from every village madman, that the president can allow other able people at the level of those who are making noise to respond to a lot of these things. But the most important is that government to be effective in communicating their agenda. What are you doing? You're doing so many programs in this country, but the communication is not there. There is a lot of that reactionary communication, communicating only when questions are asked. But I think you need to be proactive. Sometimes it's the government machinery itself that is putting the presidency in a quagmire. But also, I think the president also needs to reduce on his involvement in every matter. You know, there are certain programs that he can leave to cabinet secretaries. There are those he can leave to the deputy president. Let him also decide and choose which activities he should be engaged in, so that then there is that ownership by the whole government. A whole government approach would help a lot, so that as a father figure, as an authority of last resort, then he can come and deal with issues after they have been dealt with at the other levels of the CS, you know, the government, the what. Then he can leave himself space sometimes to be able to be the last, to give the last word on the matters that happen. Otherwise, this is the thinking of this channel, of our analysis here, that it is correct that the president doesn't respond to every accusation, to every... It's done well sometimes to play down insults that are, you know, thrown at him. Sometimes he has disarmed his enemies by taking it easy. And I think presidents should not lack sleep because of criticisms by the adversaries. What you should do, clean up your government, deal with corruption, deliver the mandate that the Kenya people gave you, and definitely the people will see, the people appreciate, the people will give you another term. Thank you very much.